In this video, we're going to take our time and slowly comb through all of the settings in Zoom so we have a great foundation before students start showing up. You'll also notice that there's been some changes in the settings since spring. To get started, you'll want to navigate to zoom.us. Using the website gives you a complete list of all of your setting options. Go ahead and log in, and then you're going to click on My Account. You'll want to navigate to the left-hand side and click on Settings. Then you'll notice there's 3 subtabs: Meetings, Recordings, and Telephone, and depending on what tab, you're going to see some different subtabs. Okay, so we're going to look through the Meeting tab and start with Security, and we're going to slowly comb through these. It's a lot easier to take some time and make some mindful decisions than to make changes on the fly. So security. So waiting room is one I would absolutely turn on, and you can change who has to use the waiting room. So let's go to Edit Options. So I have mine set to everybody, but if you want staff to be able to bypass the waiting room, you can choose not in your account. Students do not have Zoom accounts, so they would automatically go to the waiting room with this option. And then you can also change the message for the waiting room, and you can do that here. So now let's continue down and require a passcode. I would turn that on for new meetings, instant meetings, and PMI, your personal meeting ID. So all 3 of those I would turn on, and all meetings using my PMI, yes, let's have that one turned on. Okay, so for this next section, embed passcode in the invite link for one-click join. You want that one on. That way a student clicks the link and they're part of your meeting. They don't have to enter the meeting ID and separately enter a passcode. It's click and join. I would turn on the passcode for anybody that's using the phone to join audio. And the next 2, I would go ahead and leave those off. And now we're in schedule meeting. So let's scroll on down, and these first 2, you can go ahead and leave those off. That way, once people join your meeting, then they can turn on their audio and turn on their video. Audio type, I would allow telephone and computer. We want kids to join any way they can. And join before host, you'll see that one's been turned off by the district, and that way students can't click a link and join a meeting and have a meeting in the middle of the night without you, so we definitely want that one turned off. For Enable Personal Meeting ID, you want this one turned on. That's going to be a great link to use for things like office hours, but the next 2, you want those turned off. You do want a different link for meetings and instant meetings, or it's too easy for meetings to kind of overlap and you'll get the wrong people in the wrong meeting. So I would keep those separate. Mute participants on entry, I would turn that one on. An upcoming meeting reminder, it does not hurt to have this on, but I wouldn't rely on it. It's only going to work if you have Zoom on, you're logged in, and it's running on your desktop. The first one you can go ahead and leave off. Chat, I think chat's a great feature. I would turn it on, but I would prevent participants from saving it, and I would turn the private chat off. This way, if somebody's chatting, they're chatting to the entire group. You don't have students chatting with other students. But just be aware, even for staff, if you're in a meeting and you're sending a private message to somebody else in the meeting, that still does show up in the transcripts. Auto-saving chats, I would turn off. Sound notifications, I would absolutely turn this on, or else it's too easy to have people stuck in the waiting room forever. So this way you hear that doorbell sound, you know to go let somebody in, but only the host and co-host need to hear that doorbell. Everybody doesn't want to hear that. So if you haven't yet paused, you might want to pause and go check where your settings are up to this point, and then just join back when you're ready, and we'll comb through these some more together. File transfers is going to be one that's really up to you. I've seen success with one teacher sharing one file with one student, sharing a different file with a different student, and really doing some differentiation that way. But with an LMS, it's pretty easy to share files with our students in Seesaw or Google Classroom, and I think that's a bit of an easier way. But this one I would suggest being up to you. I turn off feedback and end of meeting experience surveys. Students have enough to do, so I just want to keep things pretty simple. I do turn on co-hosts having the same meeting controls. I do turn on polling. And if we scroll down, I do like the control bar to be visible and also the Zoom window to be visible. Screen sharing is one I would definitely turn on, and for all participants. And you might want to make it so only the host can bump somebody else off that's sharing. Disable desktop, I turn that on so you don't accidentally see messages that are popping up in the background on somebody's computer, or if a kid has an inappropriate image saved on their computer as their background. I think it's just a little safer to keep that one turned on. Annotations I would turn on as well as saving them. Whiteboard, I would turn that one on, but I do have to say whiteboard.fi is a great whiteboard that's free. It's online, especially if you're a math teacher. I think that one's great. Students can draw on the whiteboard and you see a little miniature thumbnail of everybody's whiteboard at the same time. I'll put more info about the whiteboard.fi in the optional links at the bottom of the Google Doc. So let's scroll down. We're almost to the bottom of this page. Remote control, I would turn that one on. Nonverbal feedback and meeting reactions, I would turn on. Allow removed participants to rejoin. I like that one because it's really easy to accidentally knock somebody out of a meeting, and that way they can join you again. I would not give kids the ability to rename themselves. I can see that getting kind of tricky. And I would leave this one off. You don't need to hide profile pictures. So by turning it off, you do see profile pictures. So we've made it to in meeting advanced, and this might be another time to pause and go and check your settings up to this point. And then when you're ready, just hit play. So this one, I guess, would be up to you. I've never had to report anybody. I don't even know what that looks like, but I'm going to go ahead and leave mine on. Breakout rooms is one that I would definitely turn on. I think it's one of the best features in Zoom, and I would check mark allow hosts to assign participants to breakout rooms when scheduling. Although I don't find that this works really good with students. Students do not have accounts, and this seems to work better with people that already have a Zoom account. So if you're working with staff, this tends to work a little bit better. Remote support, I would leave that off because if you turn it on, the breakout rooms option goes away. Closed captioning, to be honest, I don't think it works great in Zoom. They use third parties. It's not built in. So I'm turning those on, but maybe that's something we can explore further down the road. Camera control, we don't need. Virtual backgrounds, this is another one that I think is a game changer in Zoom. I would turn this one on and allow use of videos. That's going to be up to you if you just want still images or backgrounds. And video filters, I would turn that one on. Identify guest participants in the webinar, yes. Auto answered group chat, no. And allow show default email, no. HTML, no. Allow users to select stereo. I don't think that's going to hurt anything. I'm going to leave that one on. The next two I have off. And so join from your browser. I would turn this on. Now, if a student's using a district Chromebook, the app has already been pushed out to all of those devices. And so when they click your link, it automatically opens the app and they're good to go. But if a student's trying to join and they're on a family computer, maybe they don't have the app, this way they could join from browser, and that can alleviate some issues later. Now, I would not live stream my meetings. Just remember, we're not doing any recordings or sharing meetings that have students. So I would keep that one turned off. So email notifications, I'll share my own settings, but this is going to be up to you and your own use. Cloud recordings I have off because I do not plan to use the cloud recordings. Joining meeting before a host, I kind of like that one in case I forget about a meeting and I haven't joined it yet and somebody else joins my meeting, then I'll get an email notification and pop in there. If a meeting is canceled, I'd like to know. If there's an alternate host, I don't really care, so I'm going to turn that one off. When somebody scheduled a meeting for a host, an email is fine. A cloud recording, if it's going to be deleted from trash, that's nice to know before something disappears forever. So we've made it to other. So I don't really plan on using an iOS device for my Zoom, but I turn this one on, what the heck. You can set your language, and here's where you can give other people permission to schedule meetings for you. So I'm going to try that out and see how that goes, but I don't have permissions for anybody else's. So you've made it to the recording tab. There's a couple things we want to talk about before you continue into the settings for recordings. First, you do not want to record any students. That means student images as well as student voices. Second, this is not where you want to record your lessons. Lessons are going to be best recorded in something like Screencastify or WeVideo. Video takes up a lot of storage, and Zoom does not give you a lot of cloud-based storage, which means you can only save to your computer. And if you're saving to your computer, it's not cloud-based, and that makes it really hard to share with students. So to alleviate a lot of steps and to alleviate running out of storage, I would make all of your lessons either in Screencastify, WeVideo, or Google Meets actually does recordings as well and saves it to Google Drive and just sends you the link. So that there's a lot of options for you, but Zoom is not the place for doing your lessons. But it is a great place if you need to do any recordings of like a guest speaker, something like that. So let's dive into the settings then. So local recordings, saving to your computer, I have that turned on. I have cloud storage off because again, there's just not a lot of space there. Automatic recordings, I would turn that off or it's going to start recording anytime you do a Zoom meeting. IP address, I can turn that off. Authenticated users, turn off. Required password, I would turn on. And let's scroll down. Auto delete, I turn off. Host can delete. I don't have any cloud recordings, so that one's grayed out. So that's going to be up to you. Recording disclaimer and audio notification, I would turn both of these on. Anytime you're recording with people, you just want to be really upfront about it. They'll also see the recording button in the corner, but I would turn these ones on as well. And there's one more tab. For telephone, you want international numbers off. The toll part is already locked down by IT. And if you scroll down, it asks you for your country, third-party audio off, masking phone numbers. That one is important. You don't want students to see each other's phone numbers if somebody's calling in, so I would mask them, and then your country is probably already set. And that's it for settings. So thank you for sticking with us. Now, these are all of your presets. You can always override these in the meeting itself, but this gives you a great foundation to start with.